Do you wonder if you have to retrain to change careers or to start your own business? Or are you worried about having to go back to university or spend an enormous amount of time gaining lengthy qualifications? The short answer is you probably don't have to, unless you want to go into an environment that requires a lot of specialist knowledge or that's highly regulated, like being a heart surgeon or a criminal defense lawyer. However, what most successful entrepreneurs and what most successful career changers they do have in common is that they're lifelong learners who love learning. But they rarely tend to be full-time students, and they tend to target their training and they tend to learn as they earn, and they're working learners. So the reason why I know this is my name is Rikke Hansen from Rikke.me. And since 2005, I've advised hundreds of aspiring career changers, hundreds of aspiring entrepreneurs in transition on this very question. And bar a tiny handful of those clients, none of them have had to go back to university or do a lengthy amount of training or qualifications before they got started. So that is the good news for you. The reason why they didn't have to do that was because they followed 3 tips that I'm going to share with you now so you can get started too, because that's what's so important. And also be really open-minded to start out doing contract work, being a freelancer and starting your own company, as opposed to insisting on doing this in a certain way. So let's talk about you. Like I said, I'm giving you 3 very practical tips that you can apply straight away. So number 1 is don't rush into retraining, and don't take for granted that retraining is the only way or that it's even required. And the way to figure that one out is to get, first of all, really clear on your what first before you even start worrying. So get clear about what is it you really want to do? What is that career or that business you really want to go into next? And then really do your research to make sure you really understand what's required. Not just the classic traditional way, but what are the different ways people might have entered that profession, into that business? What are the works around? Who are the people you need to know? What is the network you need to build? That is so important. You might be coming right now from a profession that's highly regulated, where there's a lot of specialist knowledge needed. And that might mean that you take for granted that it's like that everywhere you're going to be going next, but that might not be the case. So I see so many people doing this, they just take for granted, oh, but I'm going to have to retrain, do a conversion degree, I'm going to have to na. Stop it. Right now, you're probably worrying way too early, or you're being way too making assumptions. So do your homework, nail down first of all what it is you really want to do, and then you need to look at what are the different ways in, especially what are the more recent ways of getting into that. Don't ever take for granted that you have to retrain. Like I said before, very few of my clients have had to. If there's a will, there is a way. As I said, unless you want to be a plastic surgeon or anything like that. Okay, number 2, don't underestimate the skills you already have. You likely have everything you need. You likely already have everything you need to at least get started. So if you're watching this video, you're likely in your 30s, you're in your 40s, maybe a little bit older, a little bit younger. You've already spent years working. You already have a phenomenal skill set. And here's what I noticed with the many hundred of clients that I've advised, that so many of them who gone in and changed careers, started their own business, they rarely did something they'd never done before in some capacity. So there was a skill set or personality trait that they could really use and really turn up in order to make that transition, whether that was into a business or into a career change job. And that's what I really want you to think about. You've likely been 5, 10, 15 plus years in the workforce, which means you've got a whole host of skills, personality traits, things that are unique about you, that it's really up to you to showcase and to translate for where you're going next. And that's where so many people fall down. You look at the CV or you look at their About Me page, and they feel like what I call they have to do the confession and tell you exactly what they've done and what that was called in the language of the profession they used to be in. Take charge. Own brand you, own business you, and use the language that makes sense in the light of the future. So whatever it is that's really required in that profession you want to go into, that job, that business you want to go into, use that language to describe what you've done. And don't just think that you're allowed to talk about only things that you've done within your job What about outside of your work? What about all of those things you always end up doing in your jobs that aren't in your job description, but they're really other things you love and you're bloody good at? Tell me about them. Tell your new clients, tell your new employer about them. It's really up to you to do that translation piece, okay? So own it. You likely have everything you need to get started. Number 3, get started. Then learn as you earn. Be a working learner. Be an earning learner. That's what's so important. Like I said at the beginning of this video, successful people in their workplace, whether they're entrepreneurs or people working for other people, what they have in common is that they're lifelong learners. And the way that the learning environment is going, the whole education environment is going for those of us who are no longer going to university, who are professionals, is that it's short-term, highly targeted learning, many times online. And that's really the mindset I want you to get into. Get started and then look at what highly targeted training do you need, and then do that as you go along. I have been doing this since 2005. I still train, I still learn. I learn about psychology, online businesses, I learn about the future of work. I spend a lot of my money on training still, even after so many years, because I bloody love my subject and I want to be the best in the world. And that's what I really want you to think about. Get started and then learn as you go along, because the fact is, if it's really the right thing for you, that right business, that right career, then you're going to want to learn about it. You're going to have a real hunger for wanting to learn. But the thing is, learn as you earn. Get started, then do it on the side, whether it's online, spare time, whatever it is. That's really the mindset. Because if you don't feel like going to learn about the thing you want to move into next, then it's probably not the right thing for you. So there is a good litmus test too. That's what's so important. So get started. Remember, don't rush into overtraining. You likely don't need to. Number 2, don't underestimate your existing skill set. You likely have everything you need to get started. Number 3, get started and then learn as you earn and learn as you go. That is so important. All right. If you want more help really nailing down that what it is you really want to do next, come over to rikke.me/kickstart. I got a very concrete 1-pager over there for you. You can get started with straight away. Thank you.